Hey y'all, it's your girl Sarah.
And Corra.
And we are a truly wonderful pair.
Throw on some PJs and relax as we discuss our favorite show of the week.
Episode 4 of Wonder Man.
Wonder Man.
This episode was a filler, but we did get to learn a lot more of his backstory, so it was a little bit imperative.
I really appreciate the fact that I guess it felt shorter, but I think it's just as long as the other episodes, but it just felt more like we learn more about him. We learn more about his family. We learn a little bit about his backstory, not too much, but enough to infer a little bit of
what his powers might be,
why this episode really plays up the fact that he really doesn't know too many people.
No, he doesn't. He's usually a loner. He's by himself. I mean, besides his girlfriend, he didn't really talk to anyone else, right? No. Oh, as far as we know, if he had any friends before, if there were any bridges that were burned.
His mom eventually, at some point in time, mentions that he's like alone, and you kind of are like, oh, that's sad. They mentioned there's the dad a couple of times. The opening started with them talking about a fire, right?
Yes, we get a flashback to Simon. I think we learned throughout the episode that he was 13 when the fire happened. So we see him at the doctor with his mom and his brother getting a physical, looks like, to make sure he doesn't have any smoke inhalation. But according to the doctor, he was the healthiest 13-year-old boy she has ever seen, and that's post-fire, which is interesting. So
she mentioned that his lungs weren't full of smoke or had any smoke at all. No smoke inhalation whatsoever.
Right. The story that is discussed in the doctor's office was that he was in the kitchen and the fire had started. So we don't know the cause of the fire or the events that happened that made the fire start, but we do know it happened in the kitchen, which we later learned got a revamp funded by his brother Eric. So then after we get the flashback, we jump back to present day and we get to a meeting, I guess, in the Department of Damage Control. They have budget cuts, and apparently their one supermax prison is supposed to hold a bunch of supers is half empty, and they are fiending for their agents to find whoever they can find that is super to fill the prisons with for some reason.
It definitely felt like when people talk about the prison industrial complex and like just trying to fill prisons, this felt like that. Like this felt like there's no tangible reason to arrest him. He hasn't done anything to anyone. His outbursts so far are contained to his apartment. No one knows about this.
Yeah, at this point, we just call them outbursts because that's what it seems like. His powers only show up when he's like super angry. We only see the one emotion, anger. We haven't seen if it comes out, if he's super sad or it doesn't come out when he's happy because I don't think we haven't seen
him happy really, but I think he's just trying to manage it. I think his main thing is managing to control his anger.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes sense because like he's in an environment where, eventually you learn where he grows up, and the environment he grows up in, very frustrating.
Grows up in Pasanoma, but his background is Haitian Creole because that's what everyone was speaking in the different language. He's Haitian Creole. So
as an immigrant, as like a first or second generation immigrant,
mm-hmm.
he's very harshly judged by his cousins, like his family harshly judge him. It's hard for him to get his emotions out.
Mm-hmm.
But
so he's around that environment when he goes to visit his mom for her birthday. And so because Trevor knows this information, obviously he passed it along to the agent who feels like, the agent told him that the mother's birthday is coming up, and to get close to that party as quick as possible. So basically Trevor invites himself basically.
It wasn't like, let's be real, it wasn't really. I think he's kind of catching on a little bit to something ain't right here.
Yeah.
Because he knows that he knows like he's a good actor, but he's
not the greatest actor.
Sarah said he's not as good of an actor, or she mentioned that he's not that great of an actor because he thinks he's better than he is because he has so much experience, I think.
Yeah, and also I'm sure his acting days were drug-fueled because when they visited, what's his name, Joe Pantalano?
Joe Pantalano.
When they go visit Joe Pantalano, we figure out the reason why he never got the role in whatever he feels Joe slighted him with was because he was drunk and high on set. So it was very much during his non-sober days that kind of, I guess, hindered his career, as most people in Hollywood, it happens to a lot of them. Like when they start getting hooked on drugs, sometimes their career does take. No, it doesn't happen that much. It starts to decline when the drugs get really bad. So I'm assuming at some point the drugs got really bad, and then that's when his career started to take a decline. And then he also says that he used, what is it? No, when he meets Eric and his fam and Simon's family for the first time, he mentions that he impersonated being the leader of a terrorist organization to pay off his prostitution and gambling debts or something like that.
Yeah.
Clearly, that being the Mandarin was that like
It was taxing for him financially.
Well, not taxing because he had to pay for his debts. They were paying for his debts, so like it was almost the peak of his career and the peak of, I guess, his addiction, because that's when he started becoming sober.
Yeah, it was like it was like that was his tax. That's where his tax.
What tax?
Because he had to be the Mandarin. That was his tax to his debts.
What was his tax?
Being the Mandarin, because he's not. They captured him, and that's the thing. They're holding over him so that they can put Simon in a jail cell. That's what the government is using to try to get him to comply. That's what taxes him.
So once Trevor invites himself to go visit Simon or go to Simon's mother's birthday, then that's when we learn, I guess, more of Simon's family. His cousins are assholes, and his aunt is also an asshole because she's like, well, I don't like. Well, no, Trevor's trying to get stories from all the different family members, and his aunt is like, well, I don't really like Simon that much, but I do like Eric. I can tell you about Eric. And then he kind of like jumps on her and is like, well, why would the fuck would I want to know Eric? I want to know Simon. Like, I don't fucking know Eric.
Right, like everyone thinks, because like it's that immigrant thing of like, you need to be working like a desk job. You need to look professional. Like you can see the way that Eric looks. He has like a tie on. He has a polo, jeans, and it's all tucked in. He has a clean cut. He's clean shaven.
Yeah, it seems like the family doesn't like Simon's career much because it's very unstable versus Eric's more stable job. That's a guaranteed paycheck every however he receives his paycheck. And we also learned that he got a promotion at his job. And so at that moment, once we learn about Eric's promotion, he tries to, I guess, get Simon to admit that being an actor is not working in his favor, and that the fact that he has openings at his job, so he might want to like look into that. Basically sliding his brother about being an actor, that he only cares about himself,
And he's so annoying with it too. Like at every chance he tries to slight him. Like he's the one that brings up that Trevor was the Mandarin. He's like, aren't you the Mandarin?
Yes, obviously the brother is a little more keen to what's going on. Not keen, but like can suss out what's real and what's fake. He even catches Simon in a lie about being on American Horror Stories, and that he knew that he got fired, or he just knew he was lying about the job in general.
Which is kind of funny, or at least it's weird. I'm not sure if he set him up with the job, because if he did, then that's one thing. But like, it feels like he's keeping tabs on him. It's like, why do you need to keep tabs on your brother? That's so fucking. And if you don't even like him like that, if you're like mad about him to this extent that you would like degrade him, it's like.
Well, they do blame him for the fire.
They blame him for the fire, but like he's an adult. Like you don't need to keep like it's not like he's a child. It's not like he's a teenager. You don't need to keep tabs on. Like it's not the older brother looking out for the younger brother. It feels like you're watching me when I didn't ask you to. Since
he is the older brother and the dad did die, I guess while they were at a young age, he feels he has to take up that mantle to help his younger brother. So instead of it being more of like a fatherly advice thing, which should have came off his brothers being more of like antagonizing him, like, well, why do you keep lollygagging with this acting job that's not real when you could just get a regular job, or you could just get a job at my company and actually make money because mom keeps supporting you. I'm paying for the kitchen, I'm paying for all this. So he feels like he's paying for his brother's lifestyle because he's helping his mom out, and then his mom's giving the money to Simon. I would say dynamics of like this type of relationship is definitely hard because they're obviously grown people, and then he has his family. We don't know if the brother got kids. We do know that the brother is married. He's got his own family. But you're right. At some point, the brother should just accept, like, just like how the mom is accepting of her son. The mom has been supportive of Simon's career, and anytime any little bit of news came up, she was always excited for Simon, which is always nice to see, versus the hard ass, because obviously if the mom is too sensitive, there's got to be a hard ass to have the hard conversation. So without the dad being there, I guess that was Eric's job because he's the oldest, and that sucks when being the oldest. You have to take up that missing parent role even though you don't want to, because the other parent is being both parents.
Yeah, definitely. I want to see what happens with this. It feels like they might interact again because he's keeping tabs on him.
Yeah, well, where did we leave off talking about the thing? We're kind of just mixing the whole party together. So,
Because
like,
it kind of blended in.
yeah,
Yeah.
with Trevor trying to be nosy and getting pushed from the agent to get more information, and then his family just being a bunch of weirdos. But not weirdos in any other way than just towards Simon, because I guess they just hate Simon for some reason. But then when we do get to like what a scene in the kitchen after Trevor's talking with the mom about like I guess the whole day and the relationship with Simon and everybody. Then Eric and Simon come in, they have a spat, and then that's when we see a little bit of Simon's burst of anger, or I guess burst of power. When Simon gets super angry from the brother antagonizing him, he literally like destroys the kitchen island that has an oven in it.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool look. I love it when they have one of those. I love it when they have those and it has like things a part of it. I think I had a friend who he had one.
An island with like a appliance in the middle.
It had, I forget what it had in it, but it was like awesome. I was like, this is amazing. Like, I love it when kitchens are like that. It's like, I love kitchen islands when they're amazing like that. It's like, oh, wow.
Because then there's a use for them versus just being like a slab of concrete in the middle of the kitchen.
Yeah, but then I'm like, how safe was that in the long term?
True.
Because if you accidentally slip and hit your head, that's...
Well, I mean, you just gotta be careful because it's got sharp corners. And if you generally have sharp corners in your kitchen, then that's just, you gotta be careful in general. But we see Simon's power and his burst of anger, destroying the kitchen island. And then I guess that was his cue to leave because obviously it didn't shock his brother or mother. It just like scared them a bit because of how powerful it was.
Yeah, but this is something that feels like they knew this for a while. Like his brother wasn't mad that or shocked that he had superpowers. That's not where the emotional anger came from. He was like, how could you do this to mom's table? It's like, so this is something
they might have an inkling, at least some kind of inkling.
Right. This is something they knew about. He has powers. It's like, so now it's like, why are you antagonizing him? Like, if I had powers like that, first thing I would do is control my anger, suppress it, and then just every time someone bothers the shit out of me who knows I have it, I just give him a nasty ass look like, I can fuck you up.
Yeah, why is the brother antagonizing him so much if he knows that he has this brewing inside? Like, if you get him to a certain point, obviously, there is some accountability on Simon to keep his emotions in check, which he tried to do all day as his whole family is antagonistic towards him. But if the brother had any inkling of knowing what he's capable of, I wouldn't push him to that limit.
And it's obvious he was there mostly for the mom, because the mom's the only one who actually she loves him. She's a good mom. She loves both her sons. She's caring.
She's very caring.
She's the model mom. Like,
and I remember seeing this actress in the Michaela Nicole show, Chewing Gum. She played her mom. She did play her mom. I thought she played an aunt. No, she played her mom. Her mom was just as crazy in that show too. That was funny. But after that display of anger was shown, him and Trevor obviously leave, and then he gets a moment of doubting himself just because he's been hearing all day that he's not good of an actor. He's only getting callbacks, which his brother slighted him and called them just second interviews, which it still sucks. We don't need a second interview, obviously, except for acting, when you have to go through different rounds of auditions to make sure they want to pick the right actor. Because as you can tell, especially on social media, if you pick the wrong actor, that's your ass and your project. So Trevor has a little bit of a come to Jesus moment, and takes the chip out of the wire that he's wearing.
It's like a transmitter or something. He like breaks part of it.
No, it's a wire. It's a little microphone with a wire in the pack. So he takes the little chip, which I thought they had little tapes in those things, but no, it's just a little SD card, and he breaks it and throws it wherever they are, some offshoot thing. And then what is it? He mentioned somebody named Derek Dorman Doris. Is that what he called him?
I think no. He called him Damar Dorman Davis.
Damar Dorman Davis, as like a cautionary tale about the acting industry.
And being a superhero.
We don't know about being. We just know.
Or at least having It seems like
he didn't say about having powers. He just said about, what is it? He said he just didn't want to end up like Doris, but he didn't explain in what way though.
He didn't explain it, but I think a slight implication is that, because I know this, because you don't know this. This is something I know.
Oh wow.
The Doorman is part of a group called the Great Lakes Avengers. They're Marvel's satire of the Avengers.
I'm sorry, you're telling me there is a League of Doormen that's a satire for the Avengers?
No, not League of Door. He's just one guy.
Oh,
on a team of
okay.
4 people.
What? So he's the doorman. But you're telling me there's a group of doormen, or is it one doorman, one housekeeper, like one chef?
As far as I know, it's some white guy.
Okay.
Don't know his powers. Forget what he looks like. There's this really big girl. I think her name is Big Bertha, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
I think her power is super strength. There's this guy who's like Flat Stanley, but also Mr. Fantastic. Don't know really how that works.
Okay.
And then there's Doorman. Those are all the members of the Great Lakes Avengers that I know of personally.
The Great Lakes Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that where Michigan is? Like the Great Lakes, like Lake Michigan.
Yes.
You can say yes a little louder.
Yes.
That's still quiet. All right, moving on. So he mentions the doorman, which now hopefully we get a backstory on, because he didn't really mention much about him. But him being a cautionary tale, we have to know why. And we see that's the name of the next episode. And then after Trevor breaks the chip, what's the name? Simon gets the call from his agent that him and Trevor both got callbacks for Wonder Man. So the character that Wonder Man kept talking about, do you remember the name of it? It was like Barnaby. He kept talking about some dude named Barnaby. So let's hope whoever the fuck Barnaby is going to be Trevor, so that at least he's there on set with him. And then, Simon can get Wonder Man.
Right. That way they're both on set, they're both playing characters, and they can still both be friends.
And then for the sake of Trevor not going to prison, he can stay close to Simon.
We don't know how this is going to shake out, because this is interesting.
It's definitely unraveling in a nice way. So I will take your advice and not think too big about what's about to happen, because you're right. These shows don't really go big like the movies do, even though they should, but they are TV, so it can't be as big. I am excited to see what's next. So on to the next episode. Episode 4 of Wonder Man, named Doorman. Now this is a cautionary tale for, what's his name? Something
Damar Doorman
Davis. And so when Simon first initially mentioned him in episode 3, I thought it was more of like I guess like an old family member where they did the Hollywood thing way back when it didn't work out for them. But it's more of like a modern day cautionary tale for any supers.
When he said that, I was kind of like, this doesn't seem like it's going to be a happy story. It's not necessarily happy. It is a cautionary tale, but like it wasn't all bad. Like, but this is kind of, if I'm going to be honest, this is the second show I've seen this year with Roxxon being positioned as the villain. Mm-hmm. First one was, I was watching originally it was LMN, well, not LMN, but it was a ABC Family show, Cloak and Dagger. It's about these two kids, Tyrone and Tandy. They get superpowers from an oil rig explosion at the same time.
And that was the company?
That was the company. It was Roxxon that ended up causing the explosion.
Oh, okay. Sounds interesting. I haven't watched it yet, but it's nice that they do mention that, because maybe a possible crossover, because they are trying to make all of the different Marvel TV shows across other platforms like Hulu canon to the MCU now because of the multiverse.
Right. When Marvel eventually starts kind of getting its shit together, that'd be nice.
Right. Especially with the Young Avengers, because at this point, the Young Avengers are about to be 30 years old.
In their comic books, like, I've been trying to get into some of the newer titles that they've been making. It's been very hard, very difficult. Kind of didn't know what they were doing with the new Ultimate Universe. But back to the show.
Yes. So we follow, I guess, the rise and fall of the Doorman. And which was it? His fall ended up being a hindrance for Simon, who is a super. Now, we don't know besides his burst of anger energy, we don't know besides his anger that really causes his bursts, and if there's any others, because I feel like, I don't know why, to me, I feel like he has a burning or some type of flame, not a Human Torch, obviously, but I feel like he heats up in some way. But maybe I'm just getting mixed up because of the way his eyes glow.
That's a good point. I thought I personally viewed it as his whatever powers him, like how when you not whatever powers him, but like when you see people get angry, right? And like sometimes if you look in someone's eye, you can kind of see when they're angry, like their eye looks like it's very, very violent. Like it turned, like, how do I explain this? You can see it kind of like a swirling fury, or looks like a storm sometimes.
Interesting.
Like in their pupils, it kind of looks like a storm.
I try not to look people in the eye when they get that angry, because I feel like it just sets them off you more. And I'm not trying to get in that mess. But back to the show. So he starts out as where he gets his name, a doorman at a nightclub in LA. At first, when it started out black and white, I thought we were going to the 1960s. This is probably like what, 2013?
20, yeah. It was. Is
that when Frozen came out? The first one, at least.
Around 2013, maybe. It's 2013, could have been 2020. We don't know.
It could have been 2020.
You don't think it could have been 2020?
No, it would have to be what, early March of 2020. I don't think it was that soon.
Okay, like we were saying, so he was working as a bouncer for a nightclub in LA, and his manager's asking him, like, do you feel happy here?
Yeah, her having that conversation, I felt like was a turning point for him. I don't know why I thought she was a witch, because every time she talked to him in some way, it was like a turning point for his career. Whether it was up, like the moment it was about to go up, and then the moment it was about to go crashing down.
Right. I think thematically though, that is kind of, what is it? Since the black and white stylistically is super interesting. I have no idea why they did black and white, but it works well for, like, I guess explaining the way his powers work, using like white space and then, like, I guess negative space. At the beginning of the episode, when we see the nightclub, we see that Josh Gad makes a cameo.
Yeah, he like belts out, I don't know what song from Frozen it is, but I'm sure one of Olaf's songs, which is so funny. He's like at a club performing, he gets super drunk, he's like this total douchebag. And then, what else? Because of the light fixtures while Josh Gad was in the club is the reason why the fire started.
Yeah, but the fire's later.
No, how many times did Josh Gad go there?
That's the second. He goes to their second night.
Oh, you're talking about the first night? But that's the night that the lady was talking to him.
Yeah, she was talking to him. She was like...
Oh, yeah. Okay.
She was saying that, like, not a lot of people... Like, a lot of people aren't happy with like, staying where they're at in life. And he's like... Just like a guy, he's like, yeah, I'm happy where I'm at. Like, I don't mind. Like, he's wearing a trench coat, nothing too fancy. Just like, what were people wearing back in 2013? That's a good question.
I don't know, but he was just a regular guy. And then he goes to take the trash out, and he stumbles upon a Roxxon dumpster that has like some mysterious goo dripping out of it, and he decides to touch it, which then sends him into a weird dimension with just a bunch of doors or like portal looking things.
I think the reason he went into that dumpster was because the other one was overfilled, right?
That's what they made it seem like, but the one he opened looked pretty empty to me.
I mean, it's starting to come across as, the more I think about it, like Roxxon, maybe someone should take care of them. This seems very dangerous that they expel a bunch of toxic waste, and like they randomly expelled a bunch of toxic waste in a dumpster behind a bar in LA. Like, right. What the hell? What are they doing? But the liquid from the dumpster ends up flowing down into like this portal. He touches it for some reason. Don't touch mysterious liquids that go to other dimensions.
Well, how was he not supposed to go to another dimension? I would just say don't touch mysterious liquids. That's it.
It was obviously opening a hole, but it was opening a hole in the ground. We saw as like the special effects made it seem like. If I saw that, I would be like, nope.
I wouldn't have touched it.
Because it could have been acid.
It could have been, it could have been anything. I mean, clearly it gave him powers to then summon a portal, or at least, is it invisibility, or is it just like, what is his power specifically? Like he just walks through walls?
So as I think I understand it, the way that like, because I'm remembering, because Cloak and Dagger, but like, the way that it works is, part of it is when something hits them, it like goes through the dimension and then back out of them. But if they want to go through something, they kind of temporarily go through that dimension and then come right through the other side. So they're pushing through it.
So what are they pushing through? You said they're pushing through it. Do they summon the same portals that he was in?
Similarly, yes.
Oh my gosh. So then it must have to do with some type of, I wouldn't fully say crossover because we haven't seen anything yet, but at least a mention of his character in the comics being related to Cloak and Dagger.
I would say the show was more closer, just because in the comics, the way they get their powers is like through like some kind of super meth.
Ew, interesting. But yeah, then he wakes up the next day in his apartment with his dog, and then his dog runs up to him and like falls through him because falls through the floor through him, which is how we know that that's his power, is like some type of, I guess whatever he saw that was that when he fell through the goo, he's using the portals for that, for I guess his powers. I don't know, I'm just making up shit, but
it seems like as if Danny Phantom, like he can go through walls. Things go
through the walls. Okay.
And I guess when he's scared, things can go through him sometimes. But so we cut back to the nightclub on day 2. Josh Gad is back at the club.
This is the night when he's performing one of his Olaf songs.
Right. He's super drunk, super sauced. He's turned the DJ set. One of the light fixtures goes off, like you said again, when the light fixtures goes off, causes a fire. I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, they haven't done fire safety inspections, but a lot of places are like that. Like,
I was thinking that too. And like when he went to go take the trash out and it was hard to open the door, it seemed like it pulled out. So when that fire happened, everybody was pushing a pulled door while he's trying to push through the door, as if it's not already stuck. Then you got like hundreds of people trying to push through this one door
in a crowded environment with like
almost could have created a stampede
with no other exits. Like I was watching Jennifer's Body, and it's not comparable, but essentially they go to a dive bar and it catches fire super easily because it's a small crowded area.
Yeah, most of those places are fire hazards.
If I ever had a business, I would want multiple fire exits, because
at least 2 to 3, because you need an option.
2 to 3, and they have to be double doors. Like for the life
one of them has to be double doors.
Why not all of them double doors?
Well, then that's money. You
of
know
course
how much
it's money, but
yeah, but you know how much a double door costs. You gotta stay within your budget.
Well, that's the point. Staying within the budget. Well, obviously, I would make a budget first, but double doors everywhere in case everyone starts panicking.
I'm low key thinking about building Sims. That's probably why I'm thinking. That's why I think a double door costs so much, because when you play Sims, the double door just costs like 10 times more. That's ridiculous. I know, but we done lost track. So
the fire happens. He's trying to push through the door, and then he realizes that he has superpowers. So he goes through the door, and then people are like trying to figure out what to do. He's trying to figure out what to do, and he's like, "Okay, y'all can," because he goes against the door, and he's like, if you guys all go through me, you can make it out of the fire alive. And Josh Gad basically seconds his opinion, and 2 girls are like, we gotta go throw him, yeah. And and then one by one, everyone goes
through this black man, and he saves the entire club. And because of that, Josh Gad gives him a job.
Yeah, Josh Gad gives him a job on the set of a movie he's doing. And
first he becomes his bodyguard and gets famous being his bodyguard, and they call him the doorman.
And we see this as Mario Lopez is presenting this on Extra as like a narrator of like his life.
Of his rise.
He's like, at first when they exit the club, he's like, I love working at this club. It's like, it's not too bad. And then Josh Gad is like, the job I'm offering has a $200K starting bonus. He's like, I can do that.
No, he said it was, was it a signing bonus? I don't remember. But $200K with medical benefits.
He went right up. He totally abandoned this club that he was at.
I mean, I'm sure he's not making much money, even though he said the tip's good. I'm sure it's not enough.
Oh yeah, I think he was just being humble in the moment. But also we see as he gets more famous, that's when he starts to spiral out, because he really, I guess he's the type of person who, if this hadn't happened to him, he generally didn't have the skills to be an actor. He might have had other hard skills, but it definitely seems like being an actor was something that was kind of difficult for him, as he was kind of stereotyped. This
is the same topic I brought up before with Joe Pantoliano, where he's like an everyman with a job, and then he just got another job, and like maybe you're good at the job, maybe you're not good at the job.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just not good at acting, because he's the parallel of Trevor and Simon treating acting as, you know, a skill to hone and like a craft, versus someone like DeMar Dorman Davis, who treated like just another job because he's getting money from it, because he got bills to pay.
That is a good point. I never thought about that. That is why one of the reasons why it becomes a cautionary tale is because he was a guy who was down in his luck. He needed the money.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, he wanted it. He needed it, and
he saw an opportunity to be the face of many different commercials and stuff. But it was a gimmick of being doorman, you know, the doorman, his dumb catchphrase, ding dong. So like he's being treated as a novelty. It's also, I would say, being a coon or being the token black person in this case, especially since they made him a black man, made this character a black man. It feels like the black man with the special powers being used as the token, and then you just see him getting spent because it's like, okay, like he was looking at tweets that were like, oh, when is his 15 minutes of fame up? So it's like it was a gimmick that wasn't gonna last that long.
Yeah,
Because in this day and age, gimmicks don't last that long. Everybody's attention span is through the fucking shitter.
we see him going to like award shows and stuff, and we see that like right after the movie scene it cuts straight to an award show scene, and you see like the public's clapping, and see he loves the attention and adoration. And like what you said, going back to that episode with Joe Pantalano, and the fact that, you know, it's not really just a job, but like he treated it as a job and then he got famous. But it's like, you can't treat it as a job and then get famous off of it. Like, you can't. I think I saw a quote from someone recently that was like, or it was either that one of the episodes we were watching where it was like, I think Trevor was telling him, you can't want to get famous for fame. You have to get famous.
To be an actor is not to be famous, but it's for the love of it. Or like, you don't want to become an actor to be famous.
Right. You don't want to become an actor just for fame. I mean, we have a whole category for that now, and they're called like influencers.
Basically, that's what it is now. The subject of like a socialite in the early 2000s, or even like before the technology boom, it was like you were the socialite, people knew you are, or like if you threw the most parties. Now it's just like everyone has a phone, everyone has access, and then you're just like an influencer on all of these extra products that are so unnecessary. Sometimes I need to be de-influenced because
right. I think this also speaks to the black and white, even though they give a certain time period, obviously, because Josh Gad is in this, and they mention Frozen
and Imagine Dragons, so it's definitely the 2010s.
I mean, Imagine Dragons is the 2010s, but this does remind me a lot of kind of like people like Mr. T in the 80s, how he was like a wrestler, he was on the A-Team, he did Rocky, you know, he was in all these movies, but like you start hearing a lot about him eventually in life, and it's like in the sense that like he's a person who puts on a persona that people love, people like, but then after time, like he kind of gets typecasted into that like Mr. T role. Like even in Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, it's kind of
you
playing.
Hear Mr. T in the character, and I think that's why he didn't want to do the second one. Well, I don't know. I feel like he should have done the second one. Terry Crews, he did his thing, but he doesn't hold the candlelight to Mr. T. He was hilarious in the first one. I feel like Mr. T should definitely do more voice work. Yeah, you are recognizable, but your distinctive voice brings like an extra layer to whatever funny character you about to play.
Right. Like that kind of, he's playing a different role than just the big, mean, tough black guy with the mohawk. Mr. T.
I pity the fool. I remember the not SNL, the Key and Peele skit with Mr. T. What was it about, Mother's Day? Or no, it was about bullying. Right. That was hilarious.
But yeah, he's not the thing about his story is it's not the first time you see like black people being not one-hit wonders. I would say Vanilla Ice was like way worse, even though he was white. But like we see that, you know, black people were novelties, you know, America loves us, all the way up until we try to do something different, and then then the public starts getting annoyed at us. Like eventually we see a montage, you know, after the award show. He's on a sitcom. His catchphrase,
it doesn't do so well because sometimes people are not receptive to the catchphrase anymore because it's running its course. And so he's doing commercials, and then he his agent came to the bar with him one time, and he just saw a commercial with his ding dong catchphrase, and basically tells him like he's losing roles to other people because, you know, not only his catchphrase but his gimmick of being the doorman is like diminishing. It's no longer the newest trend, I would say.
Yeah, that eventually happens where he falls out of the limelight because it gets old. And obviously, this is almost way worse exclusively than like anything that happened in the 80s with Mr. T and how he burned out. Exclusively because everything happens like so quickly now. Like,
yeah, because you literally can, just as quickly as you become famous, is as quickly as you're gonna lose it if you're not consistent.
Right. So he was doing all right for himself. But then when he really got in trouble eventually is when he does this commercial with, what is it? These popcorn, these steam bags. What is it?
Potato steam bags.
Potato steam bags.
It's like,
as a commercial.
Mm-hmm.
and people were like recalling the product, and the product was terrible after he did that commercial, and they
'Cause
blamed him.
people kept getting burned by the potato bags. I guess they didn't put no real cautionary hot sign or anything on the bag to let them know that it was hot. You know, you just put a, like, how long you put something in a microwave? You just thought it was gonna be okay? I make sure, if I put something longer than 2 minutes in the microwave, I would make sure I have either a paper towel or even like an oven mitt to make sure I'm not doing that shit barehanded. These people getting burns are stupid. Like, you put something in the microwave for a long period of time, of course your shit's gonna get burned.
Yeah, but it's that they blame the burns and they blame everything on him just because he was the face of the product. But it's like, obviously the public was outraged about him calling, like, saying like, oh, you're this, you're that, because like the bag burned people. But it's like, yeah, he apologizes, but that doesn't like save his career. But also he's not totally responsible for that. It's the company that you bought it from, not him, just because he was the face that sold it to you.
Right.
He shouldn't be held like his career shouldn't be in the trenches because he was just the face of some product that went wrong. Like, God knows how many products go wrong. How many products are falsely advertised that work?
Especially these apps. I swear, I would imagine how many people can make bank with like filing lawsuits against some of these gaming apps. Jesus Christ.
And gambling apps. There was one point in the episode where you can see him on social media like a lot, and it's like he's scrolling his social media on his computer, and you can kind of see that like at some point in time he started to value the opinions of people that he probably wouldn't have considered when he was working at the bar. Like, he's both looking at negative and positive comments. I'm trying to think. That was right before he made his appearance on Earl's show. And that's right before the potato bag incident. But that gives you a glimpse into how he started to feel.
Oh, yeah. The beginning of the fall, which was right after he got off the phone. Was he on the phone with her?
With Bridget?
No, it was after she saw him at the club.
Yeah, okay. So he goes on this interview with this comedian Earl, and he's kind of just like mocking the character of Doorman, but also you could tell that Damar kind of has a little bit of a feeling of a way type about it, because he's not a character. Like, it's not a special effect. It's him.
Yeah, it's him, and he's the butt of the joke.
And you can see that like this is kind of starting to get to him mentally. But he goes on the stage, and he's like, he kind of tells him he's a little bit annoyed about that, but then like jokingly, so pass it off as like a joke. Then he says, "Oh, I started getting acting, and I'm starting to like figure it out. I'm starting to get really good with it." And so Earl's like, "All right, tell me give us your performance," and he summons a skull from one of his doors. Not really sure how his doors worked 100%, but
and people don't even know that's what he saw, because that's just what we saw. But he's just a doorman because of the fact that he wasn't really a doorman. He was the bouncer.
Yeah, he was the bouncer, but I guess you could alternatively, he's the doorman because
they helped him through the door.
They helped him through the door.
Okay.
But trying to think. So when he's doing the interview and he's like doing the act, he's trying to act, right? Because he's trying to show everyone that he can be an actor. Obviously, Earl's show, it's like a comedic late night show. So he pulls the skull out and he's like reading Shakespeare, or at least he's monologuing Shakespeare. And then he ends with a ding dong joke because he starts to realize that he's not capturing the audience's attention.
No, I think it was a skit. So I think the point of the skit was him acting like, oh, I'm in acting classes now. But the fact that he's been doing ding dong for however long it is, that's the only thing that can come out. Oh, that's the only thing he remembers.
I can see that. But obviously this whole thing makes him not feel great. Then the potato bag incident happens, so it makes him feel worse.
Because there's a whole class action lawsuit that people file against the, I guess, company of the bags.
Right. After he does his apology, we see that he's like down on his luck. He's in his car. Maybe he's just in his car for the day. Maybe he's just living in his car. We don't know.
Right.
But Josh Gad calls him and he's like, "Oh, hey, we're doing a sequel to that movie, the original movie.
The movie that made him a star."
Oh, wait, did I skip past the scene where they're in the club the second time?
No.
Okay, so this is basically kind of the end of his career in general. And this is kind of
Hollywood, at least.
In Hollywood, and fucks his whole shit up. So we see, what is it? Right, so we cut to him after a night of being inebriated before the first shoot of the movie, right? The sequel to the original movie where he became Doorman. And we see that he's hungover. He's not doing well. They begin shooting. And as Josh Gad is like pushing like these bags through him on set.
Yeah, because before he got on set, he was summoned to the door portal, if that makes sense.
Or at least we see him having a nightmare of when that happened, when he originally got his powers.
However, I don't know, it looked like he was being summoned there. Like like we mentioned before, he didn't really do his due diligence about what happened, where his powers came from, and how he could summon it. So it seems like this entity where he's using all these portals just like summoned him or something like that. So almost like a warning of like being careful about how he uses his power.
He definitely should have been more responsible about that. I mean, if I had a portal inside of me and I didn't know where it went, I would not be swallowing people up. Like,
yeah.
In Cloak and Dagger at the end of season 1, Cloak swallows up like a white cop. Oof. But that's presented as like a neutral thing that he did by accident because he didn't know the full extent of his abilities.
Right.
This is presented as arrogance on his behalf because his stomach was like gargling. You could tell something was super wrong with him.
Mm-hmm. He looked like he was getting sick.
Shit was not right. And Josh Gad pushes the bags through him on set. And the bags go through. And then, by the way, they should have been using stunt doubles for this. But
and they're going to learn later.
Josh Gad goes through his stomach. And as he's going through his stomach, like to get to the other side of the door, Doorman throws up. And it's like, oh no. And then Josh Gad disappears.
He literally just disappears inside this black man. They don't know where Josh Gad is. And then it's like cut to Mario Lopez on Extra talking about, where's Josh Gad? It's been a few months since he's been missing. And then we also find out that there's a new clause in some type of actor contract where you can't be an actor if you have superpowers.
Yeah, it was like a legislation or a bill being passed. There was a senator passing like some kind of legislation that said like you can't be in a movie and have superpowers. And at the very least, that makes sense because most people aren't gonna do their like it's like having a gun in a way. Mm-hmm. Like you have to be responsible for it. You have to make sure that it has its safety on. You have to make sure that it's not loaded. You have to understand how that weapon specifically fires, what kind of bullets go in that weapon. Doorman was not concerned with any of those of his powers at all. He should have totally realized.
Well, this is the studio's basically trying to cut corners of like not trying to hire a stuntman and just hiring this guy, because that's what was that was under the pretense of what Josh Gad offered him. He was like, you could do all your own stunts, you could just do your powers. Because when Josh originally brought the idea to Darman, he was like, you could just get an actor and have him act it because I don't know how to act. So he he coaxed him and be like, well, you could just use your power and then you'll be fine. But obviously we could tell he wasn't a good actor, and now there's legislation where all supers are banned from acting, and that means Simon cannot be an actor, which makes sense on the scene from the first episode where the dude was asking if he has superpowers. So Simon has been lying.
Yeah, so that's another thing too. We see Simon's perspective of these bills being passed, and like Mario Lopez on Extra, we cut to his view of the situation, and we see that the screen goes from black and white to like color.
It does go to color a little bit, right? Like at the end.
Yeah, it ends up going back to color as we see him on like what looks like some kind of hospital procedural.
Yeah, it looks like an extra.
And he gets up and he just walks out because I think it just kind of fuels his anger. I think it's very clear that he has a lot of anger management issues, but also the environments around him cause him to be angry.
So he needs to. Oh, do you think that moment was when he went into the porta potty and got really angry and blew up? Because he goes outside.
If there's more to the episode, we can see if there's more, but I'm not totally sure, but it's pretty obvious that he's been like you said, it's obvious that he's been lying about, at the very least, like having powers on set. Maybe they're gonna arrest him on those charges and then Damage Control kidnaps him.
But we'll see, because he just got a call back for Wonder Man. So he can't show his powers at all. If he does have any way of controlling other parts of his powers, if he has more, he can't really show it, because once they show it, then he can no longer be on set because of the legislation, because they don't want to get fined or, anyone end up in jail.
Can you imagine how terrifying it is for the actor to look at superpowers in that world? Like imagine, let's say Brad Pitt looking at like looking at that situation happening and being like, oh shit, like
Brad Pitt ain't gonna get no goddamn
well,
superpowers.
not Brad, just an example, or like Will Smith looking at it.
If they had superpowers, yes, they would feel a way. I would think they would be on the side of Josh Gad because of the fact that he was just an innocent bystander that's now in this weird dimension portal thing that no one knows where the fuck he is.
I think that the gray area is that I don't think that a power like that should have been freely used without understanding its limitations.
Yeah, that's true.
Because ironically, this harkens back to Peacemaker season 2, where where Chris's dad in that show, or Peacemaker's dad, has all these portals and all these doors to random dimensions, and the government actually like uses that.
Yeah, instead of it being like, what is it? Instead of trying to investigate what the properties of it are, what the properties of like this dimension and what it is, they just use different portals for their own. Well, no, they sent a team in to go discover each portal.
They did, but then a lot of them died and ended up horribly mutated.
See?
One of them turned into a zombie and they had to get shot.
Yeah, so there was nothing after that. So that's my guess. I think after he walks off on set, I think he goes into a porta potty and he blows it up.
Could be possible.
Because the photos that the agent has, it looks like it was on a movie set.
I think it was a good episode. I think the episodes are really building towards...
I really like this throwback episode. It's not really a throwback. It's more of just like a retelling of someone. But it's nice that they did connect it to back to Simon. So now we understand why he's been a little hush-hush. Because now if actors who do have superpowers go to these things and like they're an easy target.
Yeah, but like there's a difference. I think with someone like Simon, if his power is super strength, I think there's ways he can find ways to control it. But something like Doorman's powers, first of all, he touched mysterious liquid. He has no idea what the hell his powers are. He just jumped into doing things without analyzing.
Well, we don't know how much Simon has been investigating his powers. We don't know if the family was interested in investigating his powers because I feel like a lot of culturally Haitian Creole people are Catholic. So I don't know what in their family's belief system, of what they're comfortable with continuing like researching what's wrong with him. Because sometimes if the mom is just saying, is just trying to keep the peace between the brothers so that one of the brothers doesn't like lose his shit, then it's like obviously they need to do more research, but they feel like that's been enough for him to control his temper. But it hasn't, because he literally exploded her whole kitchen island.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say on that?
No, I think that's about it. But I'm very much enjoying this series, and I can't wait for the next episode.
Yeah, pretty fun. Still don't know what's about to happen. That was interesting.